Rain was coming down in silver sheets, making the jagged shapes of the ghost town hazy and dreamlike. Water etched crooked lines down warped glass, collecting in the grooves of deserted Main Street. I sat on the porch of the saloon, hat brim dripping, boot heels propped over railing, seeing the world go soft and blur. In the empty reverberation of the storm, I could almost hear footsteps of those who had departed years before, almost believe that they'd be coming back. But I knew better. This place had lain dormant for 12 long years, dead except for me, a fellow who had lingered too long among the living and had discovered a bittersweet sort of peace among the spirits. People claimed the town was haunted. I never said otherwise. It was a tale that kept strangers from coming to my door. But then, two shapes emerged out of the curtain of rain. They went slowly, backs bent against the wind, their horses laboring through mud, steam curling from nostrils. My gaze followed the movement of riders' shadows, and someplace under the burden of water and time, I believed I recognized the angle of one head, the proud edge of her shoulders. I stood firm, though my heartbeat started racing. The older rider raised her head, rain clinging to the cheekbones. Even in the rain, I knew her, the way a man recognizes the smell of wet earth, the hum of a river in the darkness. And like that, the buried past came surging and rode toward me. They reined in front of the saloon. The younger woman's eyes scanned the street with a wary, near-defiant glance. Both had long skirts and blankets drawn close, black hair slick with rain. The older woman slid down first, moving with that same careful ease I'd once known in another life. "Sir," she said, low but distinct above the sound of rain, "we require shelter." I stood, boards creaking beneath my boots, and doffed my hat. "Boarding house is dry. Stove still works." She nodded curtly. The younger one hesitated, then slid off her horse, her eyes on me as if testing the risk in every breath I breathed. I walked into the rain, taking their reins, the cold seeping through my coat in seconds. Close up, I noticed wrinkles at the outer corners of the older woman's eyes, wrinkles that had not been there the previous time we had a meeting. I could not guess what she was seeing on my face. Within the boarding house, I lit 2 lanterns. Their warm gold light spread over the dust, driving the shadows back. The air was filled with the odor of wet wool as they unwrapped their blankets. The younger woman's cheeks were rosy from the cold, her shaking hands out for the stove's heat. I placed the last jar of preserved peaches on the table without a word. The older woman's gaze locked onto mine. Again, that spark of recognition, something unsaid between us. I spun to go, but her voice brought me to a halt. "Luke," she said. The sound of my name in her voice was like a rifle cracking across a canyon. Crisp, impossible to escape. I faced her. "It's been a long time," she added. "Too long." I managed, my throat tight, and then I stepped out before my voice betrayed more than I wanted it to. That evening, in my apartment over the saloon, I woke up to the sound of rain pounding on the roof. Memories flashed by in pieces. Sunlight along the river, her laughter lost among the cottonwoods, the feel of her hand in mine before I released it. I was 18. She was 16. The world indicated that we didn't belong to each other, and I hadn't fought hard enough to make the world see otherwise. By morning, it was still raining. I reminded myself I had no business walking to the boarding house, but the tug in my chest took my boots there anyhow. They sat at the table, a curl of steam rising from tin cups of coffee. The younger one, Tiana, I found out soon enough, looked at me like a wild cat, ready to bolt if I made one false step. The older one broke the silence. "This is my sister. I'm Nellie Redbeard." She took a moment, regarding me with eyes that seemed to peer through years. "We're going north. Got caught in the rain. Thought this was abandoned." "It is," I replied. "Mostly." Her head cocked, interested. "Then why remain here, Luke?" I gazed at my hands. "Easier to be where no one can see what you've become." Something flashed in her eyes. Understanding, perhaps, or compassion. I couldn't tell, and I didn't want to decide. But I could no longer deny the odd comfort her presence provided. The days folded into each other beneath the unbroken rain. When Tiana needed a saddle strap mended, I showed her how to stitch the leather with steady hands, the same way my father once taught me. Nieli helped me patch the sagging roof of the old church. We moved slow and careful on the slick boards, and when her fingers brushed mine as she passed a hammer, the touch shot through me like lightning. The ghost town transformed. Lamps shone in dusty windows. Smoke drifted from long cold chimneys. But not all responded warmly to the change. Widow Ruth rode in one afternoon with provisions. As soon as she caught sight of the sisters, her brow furrowed and she growled savages under her breath. Loud enough for me to hear it. The old shame, the kind that burrows its way into the marrow of your bones, surged up hot in my chest. Nieli heard it too, although she showed no sign. Later, when we were working side by side, I informed her of the truth behind the ghost stories. Just a story to scare people off, I said. She smiled weakly. You were always stronger with shadows than with groups. Her smile took me back to the boy I'd been, standing on the riverbank, not daring to reach for her hand. I wondered how everything would have been different if I had. On the fourth evening, the rain at last ended. The night air filled with the scent of cedar and wet soil, the moon coloring the empty street silver. I built a fire in the saloon and dusted off the old upright piano. When the sisters entered, I sat down to play. The melody at first faltered, but as it grew, it took its form, drifting through the hush like something tenuous but breathing. Nieli remained beside him, her features relaxed in the light of the lamp. After the last note had gone, she spoke. I never wondered what happened to you. I concentrated on the keys. I was afraid of failing once more, less difficult to conceal. She moved in closer, her skirt rustling against the woodwork. Then let's end our concealment. Her hand swept across mine, not hesitant but firm. I lifted my gaze, truly saw, and beheld not only the girl I had once loved, but the woman she'd become, stronger than tempests, gentler than morning. Stay, I whispered, my voice strained but firm. Stay with me. Her laughter was gentle, but it illuminated the room more brightly than the flames. I will. And so, in that instant, the ghost town was once again home to two heartbeats. Weeks passed, and the emptiness was gone. Travelers who came through would see smoke from chimneys and figures working the land. Nieli and I were married under the church roof we had mended together, Tiana standing proudly at her side. The vows were simple, but the promise in her eyes was vast, larger than anything I dared to imagine. And perhaps the ghosts we fear are not the ones in the walls, but the ones in our own hearts. Perhaps the right person can walk into that spooky place and make it a home. So if you've been hiding too long, step outside. Someone might be waiting in the rain for you, too.